Okay, let's just address the elephant in the room right off the bat. If you've spent, I don't know, even 5 minutes on YouTube or Reddit in the last 10 years, you have seen the comments.
Oh, absolutely. The classic "dropshipping is dead" comments.
Right. It's dead, or the market is saturated, or my personal favorite, it's just a scam. It's basically the background radiation of the internet at this point.
It really is. It's sort of the zombie of business models. People keep declaring it dead, and yet it just keeps shuffling forward, eating brains and making money.
Exactly. But we're here today to see if there is actually any life left in it for 2026.
Yeah.
And we're not just doing this based on, vibes. We've pulled together a really serious stack of sources for this deep dive.
Yeah, a great mix today. We've got the high-level strategy from guys like Charlie Chang and AC Hampton.
Which is great for the trench-level view.
Right. And we also have the hard technical data from Shopify, plus a peer-reviewed academic paper from the Silesian University of Technology.
Which is so rare for this topic. Usually, the sources are just guys in rented Lamborghinis yelling at you to buy their course.
Yeah, exactly. We also dug into the Reddit forums to see what's actually happening on the ground.
So the mission today is to completely cut through that get-rich-quick noise and the skepticism. We need to figure out what dropshipping actually looks like in 2026. Because looking at our notes, two things are immediately clear to me.
The barrier to entry and the barrier to profit.
Yes. First, AI has completely collapsed the barrier to entry. It has never been easier to start. But second, and this is the scary part, the barrier to actual profitability seems higher than ever.
That is the perfect way to frame it. The floor has been lowered, but the ceiling has definitely been raised. You need an entire identity shift to actually survive now.
So let's start with that dead or alive debate. Is the industry actually shrinking? Because if you listen to the cynics, nobody's buying from dropshippers anymore. But then I looked at the Shopify data in our source stack, and the numbers are, well, they're massive.
They're staggering. Shopify cites a projection that global dropshipping revenue is set to hit over $2.5 trillion by 2034.
Trillion, with a T.
Trillion with a T. So empirically, the market is not dead. It is expanding rapidly. But we have to be really careful with how we interpret that number. A growing market does not mean it's easy money for the little guy.
Because a growing market attracts growing competition.
Exactly.
Which brings me to the academic paper we found by Anna Lamek from 2023. I found this super interesting because she analyzes dropshipping specifically through the lens of economic uncertainty.
Right, this is what they call the counter-cyclical argument. Lamek's research highlights that dropshipping often booms when the wider economy is shaky.
Which makes sense, right? Because it's a low-capital business model.
Precisely. You don't need 50 grand for inventory, you don't need to lease a warehouse, you don't need to hire a team of employees.
It's basically the ultimate recession-proof side hustle in terms of upfront risk.
It is. But Lamek also points out the dark side of that low barrier. Because you are outsourcing everything, the inventory, the shipping, the logistics, your margins are naturally compressed. She cites average margins often hovering right around 20%.
Which is razor thin.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're operating on a 20% margin and your customer acquisition cost, your ad spend creeps up even a little bit, you aren't just making zero profit. You are actively bleeding cash.
That's the reality. Lamek's conclusion is that while dropshipping is a totally valid logistics model, it is not a magic money printer. You are fundamentally a middleman. And in 2026, being a middleman is a very precarious position unless you are adding some serious value to the chain.
And that reality check leads us right into the fail rate. I want to talk about Nick Aurora's breakdown from our sources. He's been in the industry for a decade, and he proposes something he calls the N equals 30 rule.
This is such a crucial point.
When I read this, I just thought, wow, nobody puts this on the sales page of their course.
No, they definitely omit that part. N equals 30 rule is a statistical reality check. Most beginners operate on an N equals 1 rule.
Right, they launch one store.
They test one product, they spend maybe $50 on Facebook ads, get 0 sales, and they quit. And then they go to Reddit and say, the gurus lied, the whole thing is a scam.
But Aurora is saying that's like, swinging a bat once, missing, and declaring that baseball is impossible.
Exactly. He argues that the statistical probability of finding a winning product on your very first try is less than 1%. It's basically negligible. To have a realistic shot at success, you need to be mentally and financially prepared to test 30 different products.
30 products. That is an absolute grind. I mean, that involves building 30 landing pages, making dozens of ad creatives, and spending money to test 30 separate times.
It is a grind. But The successful operators in 2026 don't view those first 29 failures as losing money. They view it as buying data.
That's a huge mindset shift.
It's the only way to survive. They're learning what doesn't work so they can triangulate what does. If you aren't willing to fail 29 times, you really shouldn't even start.
And that connects to the shift in what people are actually selling now.
Mm-hmm.
The sources, especially AC Hampton and the Shopify analysis, they're screaming that the general store is totally dead.
Oh, long dead.
You know the ones, those websites like superdeals24.com that sell like a dog leash, a blender, and a phone case all on the exact same page.
Yeah, that worked back in maybe 2017 because the novelty of just seeing cool products on your Facebook feed was high. People weren't paying close attention to the URL.
But now consumers are super savvy.
Extremely savvy. If your website looks like a digital flea market, they know instantly that it's a dropshipping store. They know they can just open a new tab and find it cheaper on Amazon.
So the trust gap is the massive issue here.
A huge trust gap. The absolute consensus for 2026 is that you must look like a brand, a niche, curated brand. You need to look like the official creator and seller of that product, not just some random reseller.
So the bar for quality and branding has shot way up. But here's the paradox I really want to unpack with you. The quality needs to be higher, but the actual effort required to build the store has dropped to almost zero thanks to AI.
It is a wild double-edged sword.
I was looking at the breakdown of tools like store.ai. I remember, and I'm not even that old, but I remember when setting up a Shopify store meant you had to know a little bit of code, or at least you had to spend days resizing images and writing out all your own descriptions.
Yeah, it used to be a solid 2-week project just to get the site looking presentable enough to launch.
And now, Charlie Chang demonstrated this in his source material. He used store.ai to generate a fully functional, beautifully designed, branded store in under 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
It writes the code, picks the theme, loads the products. It's incredible.
It's complete friction removal. And it's not just the store build either. Look at the product research tools they mentioned, like Minia and AutoDS. In the old days, you just had to guess what was trending. You sort of went with your gut. Right, you just say, hey, I think fidget spinners look cool, let's try that.
Exactly. Now, Minia literally scans TikTok and Instagram for you. But here's the nuance. It doesn't just look at view counts. It looks at engagement rates.
That's the game changer. It can distinguish between a video that has 1 million views just because it's a funny meme and a video with 1 million views because thousands of people in the comments are asking, where can I buy this?
So it's analyzing purchase intent at massive scale.
Yes. And then you have the creative side. We saw mentions of tools like Zendrop AI and Creatify.ai. You literally just feed it a product link, and the AI writes the ad script, generates a video, and writes all the marketing copy.
It's like having a full creative ad agency in your browser for $20 a month.
Yeah.
But, and I have a strong suspicion here, if it's this easy for me to do, it's exactly this easy for everyone else.
And that right there is the trap. This is the expert analysis we really need to focus on today. AI removes friction, but it does not replace effort or strategy.
Break that distinction down a bit more.
Think about it this way. If Charlie Chang and AC Hampton are telling millions of YouTube subscribers about store.ai, then millions of people can build a professional store in 2 minutes. The store itself is no longer your competitive advantage.
Because it's the baseline.
Exactly. It's table stakes now. If everyone has a Ferrari, driving fast isn't special anymore. You need to know where you're actually going. You can use AI to write your ad copy, but if you don't personally understand the psychology of who you are selling to, the AI will just generate generic garbage.
It'll sound nice, but it won't convert to sales.
Precisely. AI amplifies your skill, or it amplifies your lack of it. It doesn't fix a fundamentally bad business strategy.
Okay, so let's assume we've used these tools properly. We have a beautiful AI-generated store. We found a high-intent product using Minia. Now we enter the part that usually kills the business entirely, logistics, the supply chain wars.
This is where the rubber really meets the road. You can have the best marketing on the planet, but if the physical product takes 6 weeks to arrive at the customer's door, your business is dead.
We've all heard the horror stories. A customer orders a quote-unquote luxury watch for $20, waits 45 days, and eventually receives a plastic toy in a crinkled yellow envelope.
And in 2026, doing that guarantees you get banned from the ad platforms. Facebook and TikTok actively track customer feedback scores now. If your score drops because of slow shipping, they pull your ads, game over.
So we have this really helpful comparison from ecombiz.ai that breaks down the sourcing tiers. They look at AliExpress, CJ Dropshipping, Zendrop, and Spocket. How should someone new actually navigate this? Because AliExpress is still the cheapest, right?
It is the cheapest. And the advice from the sources is actually quite nuanced here. They say you should use AliExpress or a tool like de-essers specifically for testing.
Okay, so just for that initial n equals 30 phase.
Right. When you are just trying to find a winner, you don't want to commit to a complex supply chain yet. You just want to validate that people actually want to buy the thing. If the shipping takes 15 days, it's okay for those first 5 or 10 test customers.
But you obviously can't scale a real brand with 15-day shipping.
Absolutely not. The moment you get consistent sales, the sources say even as few as 5 to 10 consistent orders, you have to immediately switch your supplier. You move to what they call the pro options, like CJ Dropshipping or Zendrop.
And the main advantage there is just the warehouse locations.
Mostly, yes. These platforms have localized U.S. warehouses. So we are talking 3 to 8 day shipping times. That is the magic window. If you can get the item to the customer in under a week, you are a real business in their eyes.
And don't those platforms also offer custom branding?
They do. They offer custom packaging, which is huge.
Wait, so the package arrives with your custom logo on the box,
Yeah.
not covered in random international customs tape.
Exactly. Now, it does cost $1 or $2 more per unit to do this. It eats directly into that 20% margin Lamik was talking about, but you have to view that cost as essentially business insurance. It protects your brand reputation and it keeps your ad accounts alive.
It seems like a lot of beginners probably skip that step because they just want to hoard every single penny of profit early on.
And that is exactly why they fail by month 2.
Speaking of things that cause people to fail, we really have to touch on the fake guru warning from PPSPY. I feel like this industry attracts more grifters than almost any other online space.
It attracts desperation, and unfortunately, grifters feed on desperation.
The PPSPY article was incredibly explicit about this. It warned against buying into lifetime mentorships and, this is the big one I see everywhere, screenshots of revenue dashboards.
Oh, the classic, I made 50 grand this month post.
Right. But they conveniently never show the $48,000 they spent on ads to get that revenue.
Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. The source emphasizes that real mentors are totally transparent about their failures and their actual margins. If someone tells you they have a secret system that never fails, run away. There are no secrets in 2026. There are only systems.
Okay, so let's dive into those systems. We skipped over arguably the most critical part of the equation earlier, the actual product. We know we need to test 30 things, but how do we pick them? The whole throw darts at a board method seems like a massive waste of time and money.
It is. The winning strategy for 2026 is data-driven niching down. Shopify's advice on this is crystal clear: don't sell backpacks. You cannot compete with Amazon or Walmart on a generic search for backpacks. You will get crushed on price every single time.
So what do you sell instead?
You sell lightweight, waterproof backpacks specifically designed for digital nomads. You solve a very specific problem for a very specific type of person.
I love the example Charlie Chang gave in his video using Google Trends. He compared the sunset lamp, which was, absolutely huge a few years ago, with a portable sticker printer.
That was a masterclass in reading trend lines. He showed that the sunset lamp still has high overall search volume, but the trend line is entirely flat or even declining. It's saturated. Everyone who ever wanted a sunset lamp already bought one.
The dead trend.
Right. But the sticker printer, the overall search volume was lower, but the line was shooting straight up. It had velocity.
So the lesson is you want to catch the wave as it's forming, not chase the boat after it's left.
Exactly. You want demand that is current and rising, not historical.
And my absolute favorite hack from this entire source stack came from the Reddit forums, the negative review strategy. This is so incredibly simple, but so smart.
It's brilliant. It's basically reverse engineering value. It takes all the guesswork out of product research.
For you listening, here is the exact play. You go to Amazon, you find a product niche you are genuinely interested in, you completely ignore the 5-star reviews, you go straight to the 1-star reviews of the top-selling products.
And you look for patterns in the complaints. Things like the battery dies too fast, or the strap is super itchy, or the instructions are impossible to read.
And what's the next step?
Then you go to your supplier, whether that's on Alibaba or CJ Dropshipping, and you look specifically for a variant of that product that fixes that exact problem. Or if you eventually have enough volume, you actually ask the supplier to custom manufacture the fix.
So your marketing basically writes itself at that point. You aren't just selling another portable sticker printer, you are selling the only sticker printer that never jams.
Boom! You have a unique selling proposition immediately. You aren't competing on price anymore against Amazon. You are competing on utility. You are actively solving the pain point that the big mega corporations are ignoring.
And that leads us directly into copywriting. Because even if you have the upgraded jam-free printer, if you describe it like a robot, nobody is pulling out their credit card. The Reddit threads we looked at had a very specific formula for this.
They did. They call it the benefits, features, trust sandwich.
Break that down for us.
So most beginners start their product page with features. They say, this watch has a quartz movement and a genuine leather strap. That's totally boring. The logic part of the human brain is very slow to react. You need to hit the emotional brain first.
So you have to start with the benefit.
Right. Never be late for a critical meeting again, or command respect when you walk into the room. That is the hook. That gets their emotional attention. Then and only then do you justify that emotion with the logic feature powered by precision quartz movement.
And the trust part of the sandwich.
That's your closer. 30-day, no questions asked money-back guarantee, or fast 3-day shipping from our U.S. warehouse. It calms the buyer's anxiety. So the formula is hook the heart, justify with the head, calm the fear.
I really love that framework. Okay, so we have the store. We have the niche product, the supply chain is dialed in, the copy is emotional. Now we need actual eyes on the page. Marketing. Shopify dropped a rule in their breakdown that I think is going to hurt some feelings, the 75% rule.
It's the hard truth of the industry. They state that post-launch, 75% of your working hours should be spent purely on marketing.
That seems incredibly high for someone running a whole business.
It seems high because people love playing business. They love tweaking the colors on their logo, changing the font size on the footer, organizing their Trello boards. That feels like productive work, but it does not generate revenue. In dropshipping, you are essentially a marketing agency that just happens to sell physical products. If you aren't making new ad creatives or buying media, you aren't actually working.
So what is the actual marketing play for 2026? Because let's be honest, ad costs on Facebook and Google aren't exactly cheap anymore. You can't just burn cash hoping for a sale.
The consensus strategy across our sources is the organic to paid pipeline. You absolutely do not start by spending money on ads.
Wait, so you don't just launch a Facebook ad campaign on day one?
No. You start with organic short-form content. TikToks, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. It costs $0, just your time and effort. You post 3 times a day. You test different marketing angles. Make one video funny, make one educational, make one controversial.
You essentially let the organic algorithm tell you what the market likes.
Exactly. When a video hits, let's say you randomly get 10,000 views instead of your usual 500, that is a massive signal. The market has spoken. Then and only then do you take that specific proven video and put money behind it as a paid ad.
Ah, so you are pouring gasoline on a fire that is already burning.
Instead of trying to start a fire with wet wood and a giant pile of cash, it dramatically lowers your financial risk because you are only spending money on creators that have already proven they can capture attention.
AC Hampton also mentioned a new tool from Meta called Andromeda. Is that just a fancy rebranding for their ad manager?
It's a bit more profound than that. It's part of their Advantage Plus suite. Basically, AI has completely taken over the targeting side of ads. In the old days, you had to manually go in and select, men aged 18 to 24 who like baseball and outdoor gear.
Oh man, I remember spending hours building those hyper-specific audiences.
Well, now the AI is way smarter than you. Andromeda analyzes users' browsing behavior, their cross-site purchase history, even micro things like how long they hover over certain images to predict their exact purchase intent.
So you don't even target demographics anymore.
Not really. You target extremely broadly and you let the AI find the buyers. This means your creative, the actual video, and the hook is the targeting. If your video naturally appeals to dog owners, the AI will quickly figure that out and start finding dog owners based on who stops scrolling to watch the video.
That's a massive shift.
Yeah.
But it puts all the pressure right back on the content quality.
Which brings us right back to why you need to spend 75% of your time on marketing. You can't outsmart the Facebook algorithm with clever settings anymore. You have to outsmart your competitors with better, more engaging videos.
There was one last marketing tool mentioned by Charlie Chang. He called it free money, which is a phrase I always approach with extreme skepticism. But he was talking about email marketing.
The unsexy hero of e-commerce.
It feels so 1999, though.
It does, but it works better than almost anything else. Charlie cited Omnisend data showing an average ROI of $68 for every $1 spent on email marketing.
68 to 1. That's insane.
It is the highest ROI channel in the game, period.
Right.
Beginners totally ignore it because it's not flashy like a viral TikTok dance, but setting up an abandoned cart flow is absolutely crucial.
Explain how that works for the uninitiated.
Simple. Someone comes to your site from TikTok, they add your custom waterproof backpack to their cart, they get to the checkout page, they see the shipping cost or get distracted by a text message, and they leave. They are gone.
Unless you manage to capture their email on the first step.
Right. If you captured their email, an automated system sends them a message an hour later saying, hey, you forgot this in your cart. Here is a 10% off code to finish your order. That single email costs you a fraction of a penny to send, but it recovers a $50 sale. If you aren't doing it, you are literally setting your ad money on fire.
It's the lowest hanging fruit possible.
Pure recovered profit.
So, taking a big step back here, we've covered a massive amount of ground today. The tech shifts, the sourcing wars, the marketing psychology. But the sources, particularly A.C. Hampton, ended on a somewhat philosophical note that I think ties us all together perfectly.
Right.
He talked about the necessary shift from being a hustler to becoming an entrepreneur.
Yes, this is the identity shift we teased at the very start. It sounds a bit abstract, but it's actually incredibly practical advice.
How exactly do they define the difference between the two?
A hustler, in this context, is someone just looking for a loophole. They are chasing a fast trend, they want a lottery ticket, they try selling a fidget spinner, it fails after 2 days, and they quit. They are looking for easy money without building any underlying skills.
And the entrepreneur.
An entrepreneur builds systems. They realize that the dropshipping store is really just the gymnasium where they exercise and build their business skills. Even if your first store fails completely, and remember Nick Arora says it probably will, you still learned how to run meta ads. That is a highly marketable skill. You learned how to negotiate with international suppliers. That is a skill.
So you were building a business machine, not just trying to make a quick buck on a Saturday.
Exactly. The goal isn't just to make 10 grand this month. The goal is to become the kind of person who knows how to generate 10 grand a month repeatedly on demand. It's about skill acquisition.
And that obviously requires a lot of resilience.
The landscape in 2026 is actually much better than it used to be because the tools are so much better. You can fail faster and cheaper than ever before. But the requirement for mental resilience is much higher because the global competition is stiffer. You have to be willing to look at a failed ad campaign and say, okay, the data says my hook was weak, instead of saying, the world is against me and dropshipping is a scam.
So, to finally answer the burning question we started this whole deep dive with, is dropshipping dead in 2026?
Lazy dropshipping is completely dead. The era of low-effort, copy-paste junk websites is over. If you want to put in 2 hours a week from your couch and become a millionaire, yes, that dream is dead. But dropshipping as a low-risk fulfillment model for a real data-driven, brand-focused business, it's bigger and more viable than ever.
It really seems like the technical barrier to entry has lowered to the floor, but the strategic barrier to success has raised to the ceiling.
That's the perfect summary of the industry today.
Well, this has been a massive reality check. We've gone from trillion-dollar global projections all the way down to the nitty-gritty of reading negative Amazon reviews.
It's a lot of information to process, but I think the actual roadmap to doing this right is much clearer now.
It is. But I want to leave you, the listener, with one final provocative thought to chew on as we wrap up. We talked extensively today about how AI can now build your entire store. AI can find the trending product for you. AI can write your video script. And Meta's AI can even target the exact customer for you.
It's doing like 90% of the heavy lifting.
Exactly. So if AI is doing all the technical work, the only real variable left in the equation is you. The tools are exactly the same for everyone now. The playing field is completely leveled. So the only difference between the store that makes $1 million and the store that makes $0 is the human being making the overarching strategic decisions. So the question you have to ask yourself isn't, does dropshipping work? The question is, are you willing to lose money on ads for 3 months to buy the data you need to succeed, or are you just looking for a lottery ticket?
That really is the ultimate question.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll catch you on the next one.